question. Oh, you get money, well, how are you spending it? Is this your passion or is it about Benjamins? Is it about cash or the fact that you didn't quit? Talk to me, let's sip some wine. Discussion about future, the past, and the grind. What's an excuse when it's last on your mind? I love what you do, may I ask for your time? Talk to me.
Welcome back to the Talk to Me podcast. I'm your favorite host on the East Coast, Don Worm, and as you can see, we have my lovely co-hosts today. We got Elsa, Taiki, and Rhea in the house. How y'all doing?
We're alive.
Yeah.
Good. Man, these 2 weeks felt like a damn month, man. It's just been a lot of stuff going on. Crazy. How you doing, Elsa?
I'm hanging in there.
Good.
I feel like between last week's episode and today, I'm less tense because we went into it, talking about George Floyd and nobody was arrested yet. But now it's a little bit more of relief. At the same time, I know there's a lot of work to be done, but personally, I feel less tense.
For sure.
Not happened in a week, so I mean,
yeah.
Hold on, anyone for
True.
sure.
Well, first things first, I want to give a shout out to everyone of all shades of colors that went out there and protest throughout the world. That was pretty dope seeing, all 50 states and I heard 40 plus countries going out there and protest. That was pretty cool to see, especially as a Black man. Definitely want to give a shout out to all the essential workers and people that's been helping the country and the world, stay afloat. Really appreciate it. But all right, let's get into it. How do y'all feel about the aftermath of the George Floyd situation? As far as the protesting and all that stuff.
I'll go real quick. I mean, I think I had a hard time initially differentiating between what was good and what was bad. I've come to the consensus, damn it all to hell, everything that went on is going to end up being a good thing. So the aftermath, I think, has been great. I think once you see the real people that are actually doing the protesting are actually just doing the protesting, and there's just some idiots out there that are just taking advantage of the situation and just robbing all these places after midnight and shit. Then I'm just okay, that's just crime anyways. That's gonna, they're taking advantage of it. But I think even that, with that being said, it sucks to see, but it helps the cause. I mean, you got to get your point across somehow. So it sucks seeing people that I know or know of that some of the businesses get hit or whatever. But I think it's been dope seeing the GoFundMe's go out like crazy. I mean, I can't tell you how much money I've seen voluntary given to people just off the strength, to help them build their business back. We know that this probably shouldn't have happened in your business, but it was going to help this cause. So fuck it. Here, you need 20, here's 50. And so I think that's been pretty dope. And all in all, I think it's been cool to just see a whole worldwide movement. I never thought I'd see nothing like coronavirus. I never thought I'd see something like this. And for them to go back to back and I mean, it's history in the making, and as terrible as it is, and rest in peace, George Floyd. I mean, I think it's a big, huge step in the right direction. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it as we go on, but with the whole Black Lives Matter street being here in DC in our backyard, them doing the Black Lives Matter in the street. I know everyone's got their own opinion on, they think they're trying to take away from the movement or whatever. I still think that's a small little, I think that's a tip of the hat saying, okay, the people that got you. So all in all, I think it's been, as sad as it was, I think it's been cool to see most people band together of all colors and all races, and the ones that really wanted to be done, you know what I'm saying? That get together. So I mean, it really touched my heart, and I think it's been really cool to see. So.
What you think, Rhea?
Oh man, I'm on the same page as Taiki with, at first, it was hard for me to differentiate between what was good and what was bad. And I don't want the protesting, to be dimmed down by all the looting that ended up happening and that was publicized and whatnot. But, I just moved out of West Philadelphia. I now live in a little bit of a white man's land, considered, in Northern Liberties. But as I was moving and all this protesting was going on, we happened to actually see looting happen right in front of me. It's a Rite Aid that's 1 block down from my apartment, and we were filling up our U-Haul truck. This is the Rite Aid that I walk down to every day, every other day to go pick up whatever. And it was really sad But these were opportunists. This is just a group of kids who took advantage of the opportunity because you guys are aware, city center down in Philadelphia was going crazy, and all of the police and everything was over there. So this is a great chance for them to go and loot, what was going on. But I mean, aside from that, seeing all of Philly come together with the protests and stuff is massive. They protested on the highway, if y'all saw that. They protested all throughout where the art museum was. So it was really, really great. I think there wasn't a single person that I know that didn't protest, whether it be in DC or Philadelphia. It was amazing. My family protested. Unfortunately, I didn't get to participate because I was in the middle of moving. Too much was going on. Also, with that being said, I've seen the National Guard everywhere here. They've closed off the roads. It would have been impossible for me to get there, but if I had the opportunity today, we actually wanted to see if we could protest. Unfortunately, there wasn't anything in Philadelphia anymore, but it was beautiful. I mean, it was amazing seeing people of all ages, generations, from wherever, different backgrounds, socioeconomic status, really just coming together for a single cause, for George Floyd and Breonna, we can't forget that either. So it was awesome.
Yeah, same here with the looting. I actually saw a video of my neighborhood in New York in the Bronx. And we walked through these streets with my dad. Like, remember when we went to the store, like that, not the store, thankfully nobody touched it. But
fish.
Probably because they're open 24/7. But the cell phone stores all in that area, they all got looted. And it was a sad sight to see. But then the next day, people were out there with brooms and picking it up. So like you guys are saying, is like we saw the looting and people taking advantage, but then we saw the community get together. And I think this whole situation, and even with coronavirus, it just is showing us that if we can come together, we can make a difference. And the world needed that, because I think we were just going downhill in terms of people were being either selfish or just thinking about themselves, and rightly so for some people, right? Because if you feel like you're being taken advantage of in your community or by somebody, that you're gonna keep to yourself. I think a lot of people are opening their hearts now, and that's heartwarming.
Yeah. That's pretty dope, because like I was saying, all these different countries and stuff like that like opens my eyes. It's like, dang, we're not in this alone. You know what I'm saying? As far as, police brutality and social injustice throughout the world is happening to color people. And that's just crazy to see that, like, man, people are going through the same thing. So for me, I went to a protest this past Thursday. We showed up a little late because one of my friends was like bullshitting or whatever, but shout out to Beaumont. So he gathered like hundreds of people to, protest in Arlington, Virginia. And it was pretty dope just seeing him like speak and stuff like that about what he's gone through, and just seeing him, having that many people, walk with him.
Lack of motherfuckers out there.
Yeah, it was a lot. I was like, dang, that's pretty dope. So, but I got there late, and then I went to DC to check it out on Thursday. And one thing I'll take from it was I was on my knee. This probably happened all over the nation or whatever. So they was like, everybody take a knee. So we took a knee, and however many minutes went by. So, if you're on your knee on asphalt, you're like, God damn, my knee hurt. You know what I'm saying? So I'm bitching this shit to my boy. And whoever's on the microphone was like, I know y'all knees probably hurt, but just think, George Floyd was on the ground for 8 minutes and with his knee in his neck, and you was only on the ground for 3 minutes. So we're going to hold this position for 8 minutes. And I was like, wow, that was hard. You know? So that was pretty cool.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. And I got a couple of chants: no justice, no peace, no racist ass police. I said no justice, no peace, no racist ass police.
No, that's right.
Yeah. But yeah, that was my cool experience. I didn't get to go Saturday in DC. Heard that was a hell of a turnout.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
I think that, like, the dopest part of like seeing the protests is because there was a few times where they were I can't remember what states they were in, but they were like they were setting curfews up for some states here and there, and obviously I don't know all of them off the top of my head, but some of them were like, yeah, the police let the protesters stay out past curfew, and ended up still being peaceful. Like, you know what I mean? They wasn't shooting tear gas and rubber bullets and, you know, making it hostile. So I thought that was cool. I mean, people just want their voices to be heard, man. Like, and I think, like I said, like the people that just like really actually care and mean, like, and they wanted to stop with our generation because we really do like have the like power and like collectiveness and like mental like connection on the most part.
Yeah.
But like do it in our generation, man, because like we have a very unique window with our generation as far as like friendship and color and you know, all those type of things. And I think
everything.
We really do have to like, you know, take advantage of it and make sure that we push the narrative. Like this is what we're going to keep going standing for. And like, whether it goes against our parents or grandparents or relatives or not, you know what I'm saying? For, you know, whatever color you are. So I just hope we keep it going. And like, I've seen a lot of people say like, all right, well, don't give up now. You know, it's only been a week or two. Like, don't do it now. And like, go out and give in, you know, it's not enough. Like, that's what they want you to do, yada, yada. So, you know, we got a big year ahead of us just as far as everything that's going on, and you know, I hope we can stick to it.
Yeah.
Actually, more work to be done.
So
I had a question. Did any of y'all, everyone participated in Blackout Tuesday? Yes, no, maybe. You know, one of the things that was cool was seeing, you know, going on my feed and seeing everyone posting their black tiles. But, you know, the better thing was seeing that just because you posted this black tile does not mean you've done enough. You know, it doesn't end here. And I might end up getting dragged for this. So, I mean, so be it. I don't care. But I feel like the black tile was an easy way for a lot of people to show their quote unquote support. You know, I did this. I don't look like I'm racist. I'm washing my hands of it and I'm done. And the reason why I say this is because not many, I think it was maybe only 1 or 2 profiles. And this is when I was more active early in the week. As the week went on, I became less active just because it's just such an influx of information. It was honestly emotionally too much for me to take in. But it was kids that I already kind of knew how they felt about, you know, these type of situations per se. And they posted a black tile, but that was it. And right after that, they were on golfing grounds, specifically a certain golf ground, enjoying their time, not having to worry about the next day, not having to think about, you know, how am I going to be affected? Not at all, you know. So that hurt me and irritated me so much. And I actually had an entire post like written out on Instagram. I screenshot it and then I deleted it. And I was like, I just can't be problematic. I just don't want to, because it's like, I don't want to drag someone for what they're doing on their own social media. You know,
because look, see, there was a lot of people that were doing that. I mean, but it was within like an hour of people posting a black square. And it was like an hour after people posting it where they were like, pointing you out, I'm pointing you out, I'm pointing you out. You don't do this, you don't do that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even give it, people weren't even, it was like as writers are trying to do in that moment, you're already ready to tell them how they're not worthy.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's like, so we're fighting with fire. You know what I'm saying?
It was, yeah.
I get what you're saying. Like, you know, most people are like that, but you're not even giving anyone a chance. Really.
Exactly. Well, no, my thing was like, you know, obviously Instagram story is 24 hours. So it's like, okay, you posted your black tie at 8 a.m. Later on at like 5, you're out here just chilling, not even, and that was it. There was never any other like activism being taken place of, you know, and I don't want to say that social media is it, but honestly, with our generation, it is it. That is how you communicate, you know? And this is the best way to get messages across with people you're close with. And that's where you start, is with your own circle, people who listen to you and you listen to them. And it irritated me because I'm like, that is privilege. for you to sit there, I can post a black towel just so I don't look like I'm racist. And right after that, I'm going to go ahead and shotgun a couple beers and hit some golf balls and go on my yacht right after that and not have to worry about anything. And that was it. And it just irritated me.
We're trying to start educating people. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's education.
People's not going to get it on the first try. You know what I'm saying? And so whether they're doing right or wrong, and whether they post a black square or not, that to them, maybe they think that that's the first step in the right direction. I don't know who you're talking about. I'm talking about just based on it. We have a problem with social media. If you don't do it on social media,
it just felt like it was a trend at that point. At that point, it just said like, I want to follow this trend so I don't feel left out, you know?
That's 100%. And I think that there was a lot of people like that. But we as a society have a really bad problem with pointing the finger of assuming. This is what you're doing, and this is what it's gonna be. Because I know exactly where you're coming from. Like, we got to stop doing that. Like, well, you play both sides of the fence, or like you're just doing it to fit in. And maybe they are, maybe they're not. But I'm saying collectively, we never gonna get nowhere if we're putting everyone down. Like, if maybe they didn't feel good enough to post a black square and they did it anyways. You know what I'm saying? And that's the first step for them. And I'm just using this as an example. This is worldwide shit. But like, I was so mad at people tearing everyone down for doing it. And like the same day they posted it up. Now, the people that are like deleting it the next day, then yeah, you did it for clout. But the people that were doing it, that were getting called out the whole time, it's like, damn, give them a second. You know what I mean? Give them a second. We preaching all on social media how, it doesn't need to be posted on social media. Just because you ain't posted on social media don't mean it didn't get done. You know what I mean? Like, social media don't need to be that validation, because it's just a bunch of shit. So you got to look a little bit deeper. Like, I get what you're saying, but you also got to look at the other side of.
Well, yeah, no, which is exactly why I ended up. I was like, I'm not going to sit here and point fingers. I know, whatever your problem is your problem. Whatever it is, it's just, I had to stop myself, and I was like, let me just not do this. Mm-hmm. Like, there's no point in putting more like gas into this fire. Like, there's no point in making other people upset. It's like, okay, if this is what you want to do, this is what you want to do. If you're going to learn on your own, if this is how you're going to be active or whatever, let it be so. This at this point isn't my business right now, what you want to do.
How close was that person to you?
Not close anymore. This is just someone I went to high school with a while ago. So it was just someone that I know, we just follow each other. Now, if it was someone close, well, it wouldn't be someone that's close to me if they were sitting there and they didn't have any kind of voice with what's going on right now.
I think the Black Tuesday situation was tricky because it literally happened in 24 hours. Like, it wasn't.
Nobody knew about it.
It was supposed to be just the music business. It was supposed to.
Yeah. See, I remember this. It was just music business.
Record labels and their artists, the artists that wanted to participate, they were not going to post about their music. They weren't going to have music streaming. They were just going to talk about ways and resources and share resources. And they were just the blackout was music, because so much of our music is influenced by the Black community.
Yeah.
And then more people started to say, oh, well, why don't we all do it? Why don't we all do it? So I think there were different people. There are so many different cases, and we just don't know the reasons why somebody would put the black square. I think it's gonna take, like Taiki said, and like Rhea said, it's gonna take the person who posted it and then went to a golf course, maybe doing something else this summer, actually educating themselves, or it's gonna take us educating them. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, yes, and people can honestly not feel like they're racist and just put one thing and go on with their lives because they're not affected by it. And that's the fact of the matter. You know what I'm saying? But there are people who maybe have Black friends or live, close to a Black community, or are teachers who just need to learn more and maybe just posted one thing, but that's all they could do because they don't know what else to do.
So I'm going to ask another question, and feel free to not answer, because this is where it's like, okay, basically the question is like, do you or do you not judge? If you know someone, right, and they're not posting anything, active about what's going on right now, do you consider them racist?
No.
Right off the bat?
No.
No?
No. Because, like, for instance, a couple of my friends don't even use social media like that. So, like, the first 3 days, They didn't
Well, no,
post
no, no. I'm talking about people who do use social media. I'm talking about exclude the people, the group of people who don't use social media actively. I'm talking about the people who use social media actively and they voice their opinions about everything, but they just happen to not voice their opinion about this, or they're not spreading information, or they're just not being active about it.
So I wasn't going to bring up this situation, but you forced it on accident. So I have a friend that uses social media a lot, and he posts all the time, and he all he posted was all he posted was basically a business getting burnt down, and that's it. Obviously, that's sad, and that's literally all he done. So in my head, I'm like, damn, that's all you posted.
Okay, see, this is where I'm trying to get at.
So my take was, in the beginning, I was like, that's the second thing I'm worried about as far as business. The first thing I want to get fixed, and still I would love to get fixed, is the police brutality versus blacks. But anyway, so after we done that, I chilled, and something happened in our group chat. We posted it, and then I like called him out on it, and then we had our separate chat, because that's my boy. You know what I'm saying? We had our separate chat. Basically, I told him how I felt. I was like, you can post whatever you want, but I just know you post a lot, and if you're gonna post anything, don't just post the after effect or the businesses getting burnt down and stuff like that. Can you at least post about equality, because you're a minority too? So long story short, I told him all that, and he told me why he can't touch it, because of personal reasons and where he's from. And then I was like, oh shit, I didn't know all that. But like, I feel like sometimes this is the perfect time to call your close ones out. As far as what you were saying is, you didn't know the person. Like, if I don't know you, I'm not going to say anything, because that's not my lane.
Yeah.
And as far as like racism and stuff like that, I personally don't really care about that, because if you're racist basically ever since you were born, let's just say for 30 years, this situation is not going to change
Exactly. I'm on the same page.
No matter how much you educate them and stuff like that. But as far as the people that maybe can be swayed and stuff like that, as far as your close friends, I'm not saying any of my friends are racist, but I'm saying like someone that you are somewhat comfortable with, if there's a slight second you can educate them or see what's up and confront them, now's the time. So.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm on the same page as you. Unfortunately, I'm on, I don't mean to, but like any other person does, I do end up sometimes judging. And then I remind myself, stop, take a step back, think about it. There might be 50 other reasons, like Dom just put, for example, that why they're not posting about it, or it's like I'm not one person to sit here and judge and think, oh, okay, well, you didn't do this, so you're racist, or you don't support the cause, and you're this and that and that. And it's an exact thing of where you have to just stop and think about it and remind yourself, that everyone has their own situations that they're going through as well.
Exactly.
But that's something that I thought was interesting. And Dom, you brought up another thing that I completely agree upon, that I've talked to my boyfriend about, where if you're racist for 30 years, can you really stop being racist? No. And it's like, I agree. And I think that, it won't happen. I feel like there's all these barriers that need to be broken down. And if it's, like family within the family or whatever, in your own little community, it's hard to break out of that. And I just don't think that, the older generation that is racist, and maybe even the newer ones, this is just how they were raised. And we can only hope that we can teach our kids and the younger generation to be more accepting and understand what equality is.
Yeah.
So as this is all great, we also need to remember that as we're trying to convince other people that, this isn't right, we also have to remember to talk within our own community and start with our own families and our own household, that, this is where it starts. So I had a conversation with my parents. I know, 2 podcasts ago, Elsa and we discussed that being dark-skinned within our own community is frowned upon. I brought that up with my parents when I visited them about this isn't okay. And they wholeheartedly understood. And they were like, no, it's not okay. But this is unfortunately what happens. And it's like, I explained to them, well, let's start from now on that when I go out in the summer to Miami, to the beaches, to wherever, that there's no more comments about how dark my skin is. And there's no more, let me see your tan lines, or look at how dark you are compared to me type of conversation. And we can start from there and grow and work throughout our own community, our Southeast Asian community. And then from there, you know, teach each other. So that's my 2 cents on that.
I think, because I want to hear Elsa's point on this too. Like, we're so hell bent on, like, we're built on the history, right? So we take down, it's always going to be history, but take down the statue, take down all the things. But we're so hell bent on changing what's already happened.
Exactly.
And changing the people that went through that. That's not going to change. But we have the time right now to mold what we're going through. So we have to stop looking at what happened, and start laying the foundation of what is going to happen. And we're so hell bent on proving people wrong and proving people this is the way, so instead of just doing it. And it's a lot easier said than done. And I can go in here until I'm blue in the face and tell you the way I think it needs to be done. But, like, we're such good storytellers. You know what I'm saying? But who's going to play the action? You know what I mean? And that's where it starts right here with us. And, like, whether it be our parents, like, I don't want to keep having the same conversation twice. The next conversation I want to have is the solution. You know what I'm saying? I hate having the same conversation over and over again. And no matter what it needs, sometimes it needs to be had a few times. But after that, like, what are we doing? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. One point I want to bring up, and, you know, obviously the spotlight is on Black Lives Matter. And there are some people who want to bring up that Brown Lives Matter, or we can relate because we have the same color skin. And I want to remind the Asian, especially, you know, Southeast Asian community, yes, we can relate. We are brown skin, but this is a quick knowledge drop. African Americans, or at that time, Africans, were brought to the United States as slaves. There is, what was it, in the 1960s, when Asians and Southeast Asians were allowed to come into the United States, they were brought in as model citizens. So they allowed Southeast Asians to enter, or Asians to enter the United States solely based off of how educated they were and what they can do for the community, aka being doctors, lawyers, engineers, these type of things. So that is the disconnect of where, yes, we can relate by skin color, but we cannot relate because we weren't brought in as slaves. We were allowed in to be a model citizen, and we were held to this higher standard versus what an African American is put to. And so that's another frustrating thing for me, is where people try to be like, oh, we can relate. No, we can't. The only people who can relate are Black people can relate to other Black people, and that's it. You know, I just got really frustrated about that, is the Southeast Asian community, well, not all, but some just are kind of bringing that into light where, you know, is that. But anyways, I might get dragged for that too, but so be it.
I mean, I wouldn't look too far into it. Everyone's supposed to voice their opinion.
Yeah. But that was just a quick knowledge drop.
What have y'all, is there anything y'all have learned in the past, like, 2 weeks that y'all never knew before all this stuff has happened?
In terms of, like, history of things and all that.
Yeah, history, yeah, any of that.
There's not something that I can pinpoint, but I will say that I learned that for this next election, the presidential one in November, we need more boots on the ground. I was in line for 4 hours in order to get my vote in DC, and that's a problem. I think it's a problem in minority communities because there are people that literally, they can't stand for 4 hours, and how are they going to get their vote?
What you mean we need more boots on the ground, though?
More boots on the ground in terms of more volunteers at the polling sites. They had like 2 people at one point.
Yeah, but you got to look at the time you were trying to vote, though. This is a hell of a time to.
I understand.
You know what I mean?
But I also know
that I was in that bitch for 4 hours.
That minority communities are disadvantaged when it comes to voting and having that access.
I'm not elaborate. I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. So when you say that,
Meaning in DC, it took everyone an average of 4 hours. In wards 5 where I live, which is considered hood, 5, 6, 7, and 8, it took people on average 4 hours to vote. So I'm saying what I learned is that this happens too frequently, especially around the voting times and especially during presidential election years. And it's going to take a lot more of us to be more involved in these elections and asking how we can be volunteers, and because opportunities, they're there. But I think it's up to us, the ones that know the opportunities are there, to reach out to people in different communities so that we can all be out here with boots on the ground.
So I'll try to break down what I think you're saying. Basically, you're saying is you live in a area where it's predominantly minorities, and we are so right now focused on getting people to vote as far as minorities and stuff like that. We should obviously promote it, but we need more people like as volunteers to help out whatever the census is, whoever you want to vote for, stuff like that. Got you. Because at first I didn't get it, but I got you.
No, I got it. It makes sense.
Since I'm already talking, one thing I didn't know, as far as like the whole like rioting and looting and all that stuff, it's probably something that everyone knows, but shit, I ain't ever thought about it. But this goes for the high-end stores and stuff like that. As far as the looting, and we're in the COVID and quarantine phase and all that stuff, these high-end places are kind of coming up with all this looting. This is what I mean by that. So you know how majority of like clothing companies and stuff like that got like seasons and stuff. So right now they're not making any money. People are looting the stores, stealing, and got a lot of damages and stuff like that. So in the clothing industry or high-end industry, some of them have to pay to get their clothes burned or thrown away and basically damaged. So now not only they don't have to do that because it got stolen, their insurance is going to cover the the break-ins and all the clothing that was missing. So right now they weren't going to make any money anyway. They were going to lose money. But with all this happening, I'm like, shit, I might go to Gucci and get some Gucci flip-flops. I'm joking. But yeah, I didn't know that. So that was something.
I didn't know that either.
I didn't think about it that way either. I mean, who the fuck is throwing away clothes? I think they just put it in storage, bro.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think that's just on the high end part, because like, oh, you wore that in 2019 summer, you can't dress type shit. I'm talking about like the high end joints. Like, I believe it. They probably do, pay to get that, I guess, service done to their clothes and stuff like that. Because where else they gonna put it?
You think if they have an extra amount of clothes, that don't get bought during the season, they burn them?
I'm just saying that the high end,
they burn them.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I will not try to talk without fact checking.
No, send me that
I've heard
link.
like Gucci and stuff like that.
They burn it.
I don't know. I can kind of see it being
destroy
a thing.
it, burn it, same shit.
I can see it being a thing. Well, off of Elsa's, driving down to Virginia on the 22nd to vote from Philly. Unfortunately, I didn't get absentee ballots, but anyone who needs to do it, get all your, however you plan on voting for the state of Virginia. It's the 22nd. Do it. I don't care. I'm taking the day off and driving from Philly to vote in Virginia. But with that being said, what I learned is Dom and I, before we start recording, we actually shared the same fact of how the police officer was how Chauvin was gonna get charged. And so everyone was pushing for him to be first-degree murder until it was put out that he was third, and now he got put to second, and people were pushing for first. But what we learned was first-degree murder equals it being premeditated. And it has to be proved that it is premeditated. And it will be almost impossible to prove that what he did was premeditated, and thus resulting in him walking free, because if you have been accused of first degree and it cannot be proved, you cannot be charged again for second degree. So that's why he should stay at a second degree charge. which was definitely really interesting to find out. And it was awesome. Not a lot of people know about this stuff, especially me. Don't know that much about, how that system works, the judicial system. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Side note, I just done some quick research, like I was cheating on a test. So it says the British luxury brand Burberry bought in 3.6 billion in revenue last year and destroyed 36.8 million worth of its own merchandise. One more sentence. In July 2018, the brand admitted in its annual report that demolishing goods was just part of its strategy to preserve its reputation of exclusivity.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's crazy.
I guess they just gave it away or just did whatever with it, then it wouldn't be as exclusive brand.
Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say, it makes sense if Gucci was doing some shit like that. I don't know if they do, but it makes sense. Keep their prices high. Because then if shit was surfacing around.
Huh?
I'm just thinking, like, they still selling the bootleg Gucci, though.
I know.
People don't get their Gucci anyway.
Right.
Yeah, speaking of bootleg, I used to have some Obama J's back in the day. Whoever went to high school with me, them bitches was fake as hell.
Oh my God, I'm weak.
I think
what y'all got?
the multiple things that I learned, to get back to it real quick, was that I said it earlier that we do have the power to like really make a difference. And if you don't think so, then turn on your phone. The ones that really care, you can see that they care. The ones that are going to try to dilute the movement and ruin the movement, you'll see will do that as well. But I still see the outcry and the collectiveness, everyone coming together as a bigger movement than all that other shit that's trying to sidetrack it all. I learned, that we got to stop looking at everyone's, like I said, immediate, I guess, how they respond to a movement or distress or something that they're uncomfortable with as they're not this or that, because, a lot of people go through it. This might be the first time that they've ever been put under the microscope. You know what I'm saying? Like some of the white people that say I'm not racist, but are silent. Well, they're realizing for the first time that being silent is aiding, the oppression. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And they might have never known that before. And so I've had conversations with my white friends, my black friends, all the way around. I've learned a shit ton. You know what I mean? And I'd like to think that I was more educated than someone else. And I learned so much more, about why and who and what and when and where throughout the entire thing. So I think we just gotta keep the pressure on and and keep it going, man, because I would hope that this is the last one of these that we have to go through, and that's optimistic, but I'd like to look at it that way, and I hope make a big enough impact to where this doesn't have to happen again. And I think we can do it. I really do. Once I get up.
To get off your crutches.
So with all this stuff going on, and we just talked about how things that you've learned and all that stuff over the past 2 weeks, is there anything, like if someone was to ask you, like, if you had any words of, courage or wisdom to tell people of the world or just our followers, or is there any like good words you would tell them right now?
Go ahead,
it don't have to be about right now situation. It could be just something that a motto that you go by, that you live by, or anything like that. Y'all got anything to say?
So John, do your homework.
Slap me on the wrist.
Well, I got something to say about that,
but to go on what else was saying was a little bit was people only know what they know. So like that don't mean that they wrong or right, but people only know what they know. So to sit here and chastise someone and beat them down because we know more than them or we're more educated than them on a certain topic, don't do it no justice. And we're only aiding the situation that we're trying to, avoid and make better. You know what I mean? Why are we going to beat someone down for not being knowledgeable and almost make them not want to learn anything because, we beat them up or, pointed the finger or whatever. I think the general, consensus would be just bring them along, man. Like if you got enough room on the wagon and got enough room on the train and, you feel like you can teach them and you think you can help someone, then do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we should. It takes a lot more fucking energy to spread hate and negativity than it does love and positivity. I know that for a fact. Carrying those burdens around, don't do nothing but weigh you down, and everyone around you, bring them along with you and show them and put an arm around them for a minute or 10 or however long it is. And I know I've been in situations like that where it's been nice to have someone to let me know, yo, I got you real quick. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about it. Let me show you. Whatever the situation may be. And it makes So.
I agree. These conversations, I don't know, maybe it's the wine. It almost brings water to my eyes. But this is a quote from Brian Stevenson from Just Mercy. So he is the lawyer. And basically the last few words that was said in the movie was said by him. And he said, "There is a strength, a power even in understanding brokenness, because embracing our brokenness creates a need and desire for mercy, and perhaps a corresponding need to show mercy. When you experience mercy, you learn things that are hard to learn otherwise. You see things you can't otherwise see. You hear things you can't otherwise hear. You begin to recognize the humanity that resides in each of us." And I was laying in bed just basically tearing up, like just watching that movie. So I recommend that to everyone. But honestly, that movie has so many messages and it resonated with me. Obviously, I watched it yesterday, but it still resonated with me today to when, you guys brought up this, any quotes or anything that has left an impression. But yeah, it really is having human compassion. And like we discussed earlier, yeah, it's racism is instilled within people, but looking beyond that, it's, human to human. And like Taiki said, just reaching out to other people, whether it be random or not, just checking up and making sure, lending out a hand, showing that kind of mercy and understanding. It was just that for me, but I totally recommend if no one's watched it. After this, I plan on watching 13th. But yeah, I recommend Just Mercy. The movie itself was okay, but the messages that, Brian had put in those little quotes and stuff, honestly brought so many tears to my eyes while I was watching that movie. But that's one of those quotes.
For the whole month of June on streaming.
Yes, it is on Amazon Prime. And if you guys don't have a Prime account, just get one for that time being, just to watch it.
Or you can just give us your username and password.
Just so you know,
it's not mine. I use my boyfriend's. So
they charge you $100. I did not know that. When I first got my joint, I called Amazon. I was like, "Yo, they just charged me $100. I didn't buy nothing from Amazon," and they were like, "Oh, that's your yearly fee, homie."
Yeah, the fee.
Run me your shit.
True. Yeah. So last week I was watching a live, and a holistic coach her name is Hassani. She spoke about being open, because they were talking about the whole issue with Dominicans and blackness and all that. So she was talking about being open to both listening and telling your story. So in a sense, it's just having conversations with our parents even. And I remember, oh my gosh, I had this deep ass conversation with my dad in DR that allowed me to see him in a whole different light. And he told me things about his childhood, and I was like, oh, that's why you this way.
Big smooth.
But seriously, just being open to having conversations, and especially people that you love, because you love them, but it's something that's like keeping you away from being fully open. Yeah. Just sitting down with them. And I think this time was perfect, being that we've been away from our families, sitting down and I know, Rhea, you've been visiting your parents and you had that conversation with them last week and telling them how you feel when they say things, because we're adults now, you know what I'm saying? And we all want respect and we want to give respect, but in order to do that, we have to understand each other. So be open to having conversations.
Amen.
Mine, I got like two. All right, one. All right, I go with my one.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Well, for one is like one thing I've learned, becoming a man and stuff like that. Don't be afraid to stand up for yourself and say how you feel. Don't hold that shit in. That goes for men and women, by the way. And then two, I would say, don't forget about the mission. what I mean by that is I'm not calling what's going on right now as a distraction, but I'm just saying, like, when you are doing the right thing and doing the wrong thing. So what I mean by don't forget about your mission, like you got goals and stuff like that. Don't let distractions like the opposite sex or family issues really cloud out your dreams and your goals. At the end of the day, remember what you are here or what your vision is. You know what I'm saying? Don't let the little distractions get you sidetracked. You know what I'm saying? Just remember what you're trying to do. Because at the end of the day, you're the only person that can change your future. You're the only person that can better your future. So that's just one thing I am living by like right now. So just wanted to spread that gem for you guys. So at the end of this podcast episode, I just want to let you guys know also, I'm definitely thankful for everyone that has, gave us constructive criticism and let me know how you feel about the episodes. We're trying to keep the content coming every Friday. Also, I have worked on our website again. And then as far as, us being available on Apple and Spotify, every episode from here on out will be on Apple and Spotify. The links will be in the YouTube descriptions. So we're kind of out here. Stop playing with us. But is there anything y'all got to say?
Nah, man, you hit it all on the nose, man. I think the episode speaks for itself, and hopefully it keeps going.
Yeah, keep positive throughout everything that's going on. It's always good to still look at the positive things. Sometimes I felt guilty. I found myself guilty throughout this week or feeling guilty that, with all this going on, I feel happy about these little accomplishments that I've made. You shouldn't beat yourself down about that. This is a hard time. You should still celebrate those little accomplishments, whether, however it be, whether, smiling and taking a break, one of those times.
The breaks.
It really was. I felt guilty that me and my boyfriend, we ended up moving into an apartment, and it was an accomplishment. It's hard, and I felt guilty kind of celebrating that a little bit. But I remember that you shouldn't be beating yourself up about things. It's mentally healthy to still be happy. It's okay to be somber in these times, but it's also good to celebrate the little things in life within yourself. So that's a reminder to everyone that with all this going on, the little accomplishments that you make, whether it be finishing a project or even, meeting a goal, whether it be big or small, it's still good and okay to celebrate that throughout everything that's going on.
Amen.
So you got anything?
If you need to take a break from social media. I've done it. I've put my account right now is private, my Instagram. I've been doing that for the last few weekends, and it's helped me kind of, and therapy. I'm still doing my therapy sessions via, what you call this? Not Zoom, FaceTime.
Zoom, FaceTime.
So, yeah, if just look into the options that you have for therapy. If you feel like you want to talk to somebody who's neutral, I recommend therapy 100%. During times like that.
Yeah,
I might need it.
Nothing wrong for looking for help.
Watching these, you got anything you want to talk to me about? Anything that was said? Anything you want to talk about outside of this? Talk to me. That's the name of the podcast. I'm an open book. I give it. I take it. I want to learn as much as I can from everyone out there. So please, see me, get me right. Talk to me. All that. I'm ready. I'm ready to listen. I'm ready to speak, and I'm ready to go back and forth with everyone to get this shit going. So.
And it's a wrap in the trap. Thank you for watching. Talk to me. Taki, don't leave. Please, don't leave.
This one.
I can be out.
All right.
I'm at